hello and welcome to another episode of Lanark County Confidential. Every time I do that, it sort of messes me up. But anyways, it's not supposed to say that. So this is episode 37, and Lanark County Confidential is being broadcast to you via WRVO, Reno Viola's Outdoor Radio Network. I'm your host, Mike Lynch-Staunton, and I'm going to answer a bunch of questions that I've been gotten over the last little while. And some of them I answered personally, but some of them I figured it's good, useful information for everybody to hear. So I'm going to make a little show of it, considering there was quite a bit of questions. And I was going to answer them during some of the other shows, but because of my computer issues and a bunch of feedback that I noticed that I got over the last little while, that I think hopefully I finally got rid of that one. Electronics is so much fun when you don't know squat about it. So, anyways, let's go with the first one. And I get this question constantly, and everybody's got their differing views on it. But I've taken my view from actually golf cart place that does. I forget how many they said they were doing over 200. Batteries a year. So I watched what they did, and I've been doing that myself and with my customers, and it seems to be working fine. It also it's a quick way of finding out in the springtime whether your battery's going to last for the summer or not, or whether it's not going to. So what do? In the fall time, I check the water level first in the battery, be it a deep cycle or starting battery. And then I will, if the water's down, I'll put some water in the battery using distilled water only, and then I will load test the battery. I will charge the battery fully, and once the battery is fully charged, I will load test it. And if the load test proves to be okay, then I'll recharge the battery, and I'll let it sit over the winter time. That battery shouldn't discharge. If it's over 13.5 volts, it shouldn't discharge fully during the whole winter time. It should take, that battery should take about 4 to 5 months to discharge fully, and that's at minus 40 degrees. So a good battery's going to last you during the winter, and you don't have to really worry about it. People say, well, I put it in my garage, and the warmer the battery is, the more it has a chance to discharge, meaning that the warmer it is, the more it's active. And the more active it is, the more it these battery will just discharge just because that's what it is. It's a battery. So in that respect, what you want to do is make sure that battery doesn't discharge hardly any at all. So what's the best way of doing that? And that's putting it in the coldest environment. That being said, a battery that's, say, 80% or 70%, being 100% charged, may, after a week in February and January, going through a couple of weeks of minus 40, that battery could typically freeze. So, but what that's going to show you is during the summertime, it's going to lose its ability to get you through the summertime. And that's just my general experience from batteries, and over the 30 years that I guess I've been dealing with deep cycle batteries and any type of battery anyway. So that's typically what I'll do is if it's a really hard winter, then that's going to tell me whether the battery's going to last or not. Putting them in your garage, all it's going to do is going to allow it to stay active, and then it's going to discharge quicker. So my way of doing the way I think, and I've seen this on batteries as well too, put it in a cold environment so it doesn't remain active and it won't discharge. Okay. That was for Brent. Anyways, this is for Doug, who didn't get his. I get this a lot again too. He didn't get a chance to get his boat winterized. So what he's done is he says, well, I have a garage and I'll park it in my garage and my garage is heated. That's probably one of the worst places you could put an unwinterized boat is in a warm garage, because of what can happen in that garage, and that's the condensation that you want to eliminate. Anytime you start an engine and shut it down, it's called a heat cycle, and it's the heat cycles that really kill the engines. If you just started an engine and left it running and you never shut it off, that engine would go for a pretty long time because it's never gone through one heat cycle. And what happens in a heat cycle is the infamous lost signal is happening again. So I guess things aren't really fixed, are they? So what will happen is that piston ring will start to corrode on the cylinder wall, and it can happen within a week. And the viscosity of the oil is what's going to determine how quickly that damage is going to occur. Viscosity means the ability of the oil to stick to the cylinder wall and prevent. It's like a barrier, and it either lubricates or it protects from air intrusion, or in this case condensation, and the ability, or it will stop the corrosion from occurring. And that's all the process of winterization. So the guy can't winterize his boat. Well, what's the best thing that he can do is every month is just go turn the engine over without starting it. So if you don't build up any heat in the engine and you just roll it over, you're going to redistribute if there's any condensation in there, and you're going to wipe the cylinder wall with a new, with some oil, because it's sitting there in the cylinder anyways, and that oil system's going to work to probably maybe an extent. I'm not sure how much, but what you don't want you to do is you don't want to start the engine. So on a lot of them, so you can hit the kill switch and just roll them over and stuff, but by no means do you prime them and try and fire them up. Just let it roll over for 5 seconds or less even, and that just, like I say, redistributes everything, and it stops it from sitting in one place. Because I've taken engines apart, and you can see where the cylinder has sat year after year after year. The guy said, "Oh no, I always just parked it in my garage, and it was fine." And But eventually, that catches up to you. What I've seen over a period of time is the bottom end, the crank bearing. The lower rod bearing actually goes, because condensation builds up in there, and it creates a little pitting, and that pitting slowly takes the bearing out, and that bearing leads to a knock, and Uncle Rodriguez comes to visit every once in a while. So for Doug I forgot where he was, but the least I can say is throw some fuel stabilizer in your gas, disconnect your fuel line, and just roll the engine over every month if you can. Other than that, if you can get it to someplace that can winterize it at this point, well, I typically, once the water lines are frozen, the water lines are froze here. So, okay, this is a good one, and I picked this one because it actually happened to me a couple of years ago. This is for Pete. He took his ice auger, he got it working in the garage, and the first time he took it out onto the ice, it ran for about 5 minutes, and then it stopped. And then it would start, and it would stop, and start, and stop, and he could never really get it going. Sometimes it would run with the choke on, sometimes it wouldn't. And whenever I hear stuff like that, I think of the same. I did the same thing. I was in a rush. I fired it up in the shop. I was probably using last year's gas or something like that. I don't know, but what happened was a little tiny ice ball, little tiny drop of water got created in the carburetor. Now, I don't know whether it happened because I fired it up in the shop and then took it outside right away, and I didn't really get it warm. So I'm not sure exactly how it happened. I don't know whether it was from the gas, but I'm typically pretty anal about my fuel, and I don't allow water to get in the gas. So the only scenario I can think of is it was warm in the shop, and then it cooled off rather quickly, so maybe there was some condensation that built up in the carburetor, and that turned quickly to a little ball of ice. Now, that rolled around the carburetor and got stuck. And then it didn't get stuck, and then it got stuck, and it didn't get stuck, and yada, yada, yada. So anyways, that's what I think is happening, is I think if you take that auger into a warm area, fire it up, let it get hot, like run it for a good 5-10 minutes. Now, you might kill yourself from the fumes and stuff, but you need that auger to get warm in a warm place, and then take it outside running and let it run outside for another 10 minutes outside. And see if that, and then shut it off and let it cool outside and fire it up and see if it goes away. If it doesn't go away, you're going to have to get the carburetor pulled apart because there's water in it and you just can't get it out. So that's what I think is happening there. So, and the next one is I get this. I should not get this, but guys ask me every once in a while. Where's a good place to go for crappies in and around Ottawa at this time of year? And just from some of the acquaintances that I have on Facebook and that, I see that some people have already started up at Constance Bay, or not Constance Bay, Constance Lake. Constance Lake usually is one of the first lakes to freeze over, and usually the beginning of the season, the crappie, well, the perch is always good at the beginning of the season, but usually the crappie's better at the beginning of the season, and every once in a while you get a pike and that as well too. But everybody tends to fish right outside the launch, and I've found over the years if you go right to the end of the lake where it turns into the creek on the left-hand side, the left-hand creek arm, I believe, start fishing in front of that where it drops off into deeper water, just on the edge of the weeds and stuff. That would be an area for me. That's what I'd start fishing, because like I say, everybody starts down at the launch. So, and there's usually a big line up there, and everybody ends up catching perch and the occasional pike and stuff. So you will catch crappie there, but I always found it was a bit better further down. And there is one on the other side of the lake. There is one little point that comes out. If you can find that, there's some weeds on there. That was good as well too. So, where else this time of year? Shirley's Bay is, once it starts to freeze in, I typically start in 5 to 8 feet of water and find some weeds, and always catching perch there. And in the evening time, you'll start to catch some walleyes. But if I want to look for crappie, then I head up towards the mouth of the bay on the left-hand side, towards the deeper water. And even though haven't been back there in a couple of years, but I know they've closed that off, so it's really hard to get into the bay. But just fish in the mouth of the bay. If you can find, there's a little trench there, about a 3-foot trench that leads into deeper water on that corner. If you can, if there's enough ice there and stuff, in the evening, they seem to want to, I guess, go into that bay. So that's one of the places that I found them. And also Petrie Island, if you're going up the Orleans area, there apparently Crappie Bay is all iced over, and it's all, people are nailing panfish and crappie there as well too. The other one where I just saw a picture of another guy too was at below Long Island Locks. What do we call that there? Long Island, obviously. I saw a couple of pictures of guys out there ice fishing as well too. So, pretty much that leads into the next question was, and I did this last year, so the guy asked me if I would sort of just go over it again. Just lost everything here. At minus, 0 degrees, yes, you start to build ice and stuff like that, but you don't start to build serious ice until the temperature gets to be below -6. I don't know what that works out to Fahrenheit, so. But at -6, you can build up to 2 inches. Now, this is up to, if conditions are perfect, up to 2 inches of ice overnight. That being said, if it's a lake or if it's murkier water or, there's wind and stuff like that, obviously that's not going to happen to the same rate. So, but the weather what we've had over the last couple of weeks has led to, 4 to 5 inches worth of another signal loss there. That's so obviously this signal loss thing is still rearing its ugly head even with the new computer. So it's not my computer. Okay, let's go back to the boys and see what's happening again. No, it's your computer, they said. Yeah. Okay. So it's a new computer, a new router, and a new, just a whole bunch of new stuff, and I still got the same problem. I guess I'm going to have to try it at a different time of day and see what that's, because that was the other suggestion. Do it at a different time of day. It'll work at a different time of day as opposed to more people in the network. So, and that's what I told them. I said it was a network thing, but what do I know? I'm just a fisherman trying to educate other guys on how to catch fish. So, well, okay. So, on the ice thickness thing, you got to look for -6 at nighttime to build good ice. If you don't get -6, then you better beware of the ice and what you're going to be doing on it. So, but like I said, -6 will build up to 2 inches overnight, as long as that's pristine lake with. And it's funny because certain lakes take longer to ice over because it's not always clear water that's it makes better ice than other stuff. A lake like Mississippi ices over way faster than Big Rito, and sometimes they say even a lake like Big Rito and Charleston Lake won't completely ice over unless you have super cold weather, because it pushes all the cold water to the main lake area, and that main lake water is a heat sink and takes a certain length of time to lose all the rest of the heat from the rest of the lake. It's pretty interesting. So what you'll do is you will have big stretches of open water, and it's not because of current. It's just because, well, it could be because of current, but under water currents that are pushing the warmer water to the colder area, pushing out the warmer water to the area that's still water, and that will take a while for that to happen. So I've heard guys tell me that they've been on Charleston and it's never frozen. So certain portions of it have never froze on certain years. So be careful on the ice. That's my point. Okay. This guy, he wants to go ice fishing all the time, and he wants to know where I'd be going. I'm going to be heading probably up to a couple of little lakes in around Newborough, and there I'm going to try a couple of new lakes up in there. They're new ice fishing for me. One of them is Wolf. I've never ice fished that one, so there's a couple of other lakes in around that area that I want to try as well too. I won't get to say anything yet because I'm not sure which one I'm going to do. So, but Mississippi, obviously, I'm going to, once the main lake is a bit more secure than what I've seen, and because it's a river, you sort of have to watch the rivers as opposed to the lakes where they'll thaw or freeze up a bit quicker. But I was up at Westport, and it's the day that I was up there, I could have launched my boat. So, but that was, like I said, a few weeks ago. So we'll see. There's one place up at Westport I wanna try Upper Rideau. I think there'd be some good crappie in Upper Rideau, but Newborough definitely is one of the ones that I will try this year again. And the head pond at Madawaska, I want to try for some walleye up there, see how that would go. So, okay, this is this guy always sends me weird questions, but this has nothing to do with ice fishing, but why I'm answering the question is because I had read a response to this. I think it was my Bass Times. And that was something else I wanted to get to. There was a couple articles in the Bass Times that I wanted to talk about. But the guy's question is, what's the best time to throw a jig? Anytime, as far as I'm concerned, anytime. And then his next question, what's the best color to throw? Well, if you ask me the question, which you're asking, is a 3/4 ounce jig with anything that's blue and black. If you look at my boat, that's my go-to, and anytime. I throw it. I'll throw it in the wintertime. I'll throw it in the summertime. May not catch fish on it, but I throw it anyways. It's just a jig to me is just such a versatile bait that whether it's a jig with a grub on it, a tube jig, a flipping jig, a swimming jig, a jigging spoon, if that's sort of what I look for is some situation that I can throw a jig in, and if I can't do a vertical, then I'll try and figure a way of doing horizontal. So to me, any time is jig time, and you'll talk to a lot of jig fishermen, and they'll say the same thing: any time is jig time. And they do that. They say that because they've, in my case, I've just thrown it so long. So that's that as far as questions go. And I'm getting on here in time. So my website's almost finished. It's going to be called ml-soutdoormedia. That's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try and venture towards that in the new year, and keep the podcast going, do some videos, do some written articles, and it'll be all explained there. And that should be within the next week or so. I know I've said that, but the finalization has been done on that. We're just waiting to see what it looks like when it's finally posted. So I'm waiting to do that, and waiting to get out do some more fishing. It's been okay, but nothing great, no big scores of 100-day fishing or 100-day crappie or anything like that. Not yet. So, but the ice still has to firm up a bit more. I'm still dragging the sleigh. So, anyhow, remember, Lander County Confidential. It's all confidential, and I'm out of here. Bye for now. Lander County Confidential is a production of MLS Outdoor Media. Today's show was sponsored by Rusty's Tackle Shack, 1558 Richmond Road, Franktown, Ontario. Rusty's, where you can get, where did I put that? Yes, get your custom rod built, shop or get your rod and reel repaired, shop for a large selection of gamble lures, or just talk jig fishing. You can get what you need at Rusty's. And remember, we're broadcast on WRVO, Reno Viola's Outdoor Radio Network.